There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that's around you. All that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Greetings from Center for Spiritual Living, Ocala. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes, and I am so glad that you have chosen to spend a little bit of time with us this afternoon, or whenever it is that you are watching. Today, we are talking about joy. I'm having so much fun being immersed in this all month, and just so many wonderful reminders and things that I am learning to help me along my journey that I'm really excited to share with you. And I'm excited for our guest today and for the conversation that we're going to have. But before we start that, I'll go ahead and let you know a little bit about who we are at CSL Ocala. And these are the things that are important for us. These are our values. And I just invite you to think about what is important to you and see if these things are important. The things that are important to us are important to you. And if that is the case, then we are probably a good match and you might want to hang out with us because we have a lot of fun here. So the first thing on our list is spiritual growth and practice. It is the whole reason that we gather and come together is so that we can learn together and grow together and teach and just live life full out. And we believe that love is what we come from, and love is the essence of our being and what we are here to share. So it is also at the top of our list. We value appreciation and believe that the things that we appreciate, it's like a money term, right? What you appreciate grows. That's what appreciation means. So we want to be grateful for the wonderful things, well, for all of the things that are in our life, because what we are grateful for appreciates in our understanding and awareness. We value community. As I said, it's, we learn from one another, and there is a synergy that happens when people come together for a similar goal. And when that goal is spiritual growth and practice, and you get some people together that are on that same page, amazing things can happen. And we're getting ready for a growth spurt here at CSL Ocala. So stay tuned for that as our community grows. We value freedom. That's freedom to show up as who we came here to be, right? To express, to say what we need to say, to draw if our thing is drawing, if it's painting, if it's writing, whatever your thing is. See, we value creativity and freedom of expression. And it's important for us to be able to share those things. It's important to our health and our well-being to be able to express ourselves. And of course, those things are also on our list of values, as is generosity and financial well-being. So those are the things that are important to us at CSL Ocala. And our vision at the Center for Spiritual Living is that we are a model center for spiritual living as evidenced by the transformational impact we have not only on the people who are members here, but on our larger community where we live in Ocala, Florida, but also on the larger Centers for Spiritual Living organization. And, the whole world, is what we want to change, what we want to impact. And our mission is to empower individuals to awaken to the power and presence that lies within and all around them so they may live their best lives. And that's another one of those power-packed statements, right? To say that we believe that there is a magnificence, a divinity that lies within each one of us, not outside somewhere, but right here, where you sit, where I sit, where we speak, where we pray, where we live. That is the place where God is. And that's what makes us a little bit different from some other traditions you may be familiar with. So that's what we're about at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. And we have been this year, we're coming to a close in our inquiry into something called the Revolutionary Love Project, which is based on the book by Valerie Kaur called See No Stranger. And the whole essence of the book is to love, is to love others, to love the people that we may see as opponents, and to love ourselves. If all of those pieces are not part of the equation, then it's incomplete. We have to understand love from all of those different angles if we're to be a beneficial presence in the world, right? So that's what we're learning about, and that's what we're sharing, and that's what we're teaching. So we've been through a whole, 9 other practices. And this month we are talking specifically about the culmination of all of it, which is the idea of joy. And so, as I learn, as I teach, and I teach as I learn, it's been a wonderful, deep, and really moving inquiry for me to really delve into this idea of joy and to bring my friends to share in this with me. But before I bring in our guest for today, I think we'll go ahead and just anchor in an invocation. And so I invite you to turn your attention inward In whatever way that feels comfortable for you, if that means you close your eyes or you just let your focus go soft, just take a moment to turn your attention within and just breathe in. And take in a nice deep breath. And as you breathe in, just feel any tension, any kind of tightness or anxiety that may be anywhere in your body. Just allow it to flow on out. And be present here right now in this moment. And so, in this moment, as our body is relaxed and our mind is free, we invite and we invoke the presence of the divine. That one power and presence that runs in, around, and through all things. We are all connected within this oneness. Wherever we may be, myself here in Ocala, our guest, Reverend Mary Ellen in Ontario, Canada, people from all over and from all walks of life that may be tuning in, we are all part of that same mind, that one power and presence that is in everything. And so I can speak my truth into that field of infinite potential and possibility and claim a truth for each one of us right here, right now. And the truth that I claim is that this afternoon, that this conversation is joyous, that there is insight, that there is illumination, and that each and every one who tunes in and each and every one that participates in any way in this conversation feels a greater sense of joy and a greater understanding of how to tap into that joy in moments when it feels like it may be lacking. I give thanks for everyone who is part of this conversation by lending their attention and their consciousness, for all the wonderful teachers I've had along the way, for all the teachers in my life at this present moment who show me what joy is and how to tap into it at will. And so I give thanks for all of this. I give thanks for this moment. I give thanks for the people that are here. And I give thanks for knowing that as I speak these words, they are already manifest. And all I do is allow them to be so. And so it is. And so my guest for this afternoon's conversation is my dear, dear friend, Reverend Mary Ellen Cassie, who, if you are, if you're someone who watches us regularly, you have met Reverend Mary Ellen. She has just an amazing heart and an amazing story, and I have been blessed to witness her unfolding and her ever expanding joy. Especially in this past year, as we've gone through this pandemic and we've been learning and loving together. And it's just been a really fabulous journey. So let me just bring her on in here and stop running my mouth. Hello, my dear.
Hello. So good to be here with you.
Yes, yes. And there you are, radiance and joy and just all sparkly and just awesome to see you.
Well, this is what joy looks like.
How wonderful. You know, I say every time, I always know, like, there's a person who pops into mind with whatever it is that we happen to be talking about, you know. So I invited you in when we talked about grief,
Yep.
because I know that you are very, very familiar with the topic of grief, right? I invited you in when we spoke about, I think it was either rage or anger, or maybe both, because again, it's an
I think
area
it
that
was.
you have great familiarity, right, with that. And you know, I wasn't sure about joy. I mean, I really truly, I don't plan these things in advance. I just kind of wait and see what spirit's going to drop in, like who do I call for this or that. And you were so strong in my mind, especially after our last session together last week,
Yeah.
that you were the person to have this conversation today about joy, because there you are experiencing it. So, so there we are. There we are.
Yes, and I'm going to humble myself and admit it's only been 2 years I used that word when I was with one of my prayer partners, and I was shocked that it came out of my mouth. And I said, "Oh my God, I've never said that out loud because it has not been an experience, but you are absolutely correct. In the last year together doing work with you, etc., and then doing my own work, but because I joined Reverend Cindy's group, I want to tell everybody how wonderful that is. It was life changing for me, life changing, and it led me into doing other work. And so I'll share about that after, but I did want to say it's only recent, and I I'm looking at myself on the screen, and I was not this expressive, this joyful, and I call myself joyful, filled with joy. And I'm understanding, I really am appreciating the topic today, because you're asking, we have some differences, joy and happiness. I used to say I was happy 2 years ago, but it was just last year in 2020 that I became joyful. 2 years ago in 19, I said I was happy on my birthday. And I thought, wow, that's a new word for me even.
Yeah.
So, yes. So I have gone from where I was not to here I am today in
Yeah.
a very short time,
Well,
actually.
but you have been, I mean, I think it's maybe accelerated in this past year, but the fact is that you have been on a spiritual path for many, many, many years,
Oh,
right?
yes.
As a
50
Buddhist,
years, 50 years.
right? And then, in our ministerial program together, and I knew, and not, you have shared a lot of your story, but
Yeah.
how to put it in a nutshell for you? I don't know, a horrific childhood,
Yeah.
probably a marriage and family life that was not ideal. Your son was incarcerated for many years and came out, and then a horrific, the situation with your granddaughter
Yeah.
that was very recent. So, um, any one of those things in a person's life could be just total devastation, right, for the rest of their lives. And
Exactly.
you went through all of those things and didn't bypass a bit of it. I mean, you were in it, in the muck and the yuck of the pain, and the grief and the anger and the rage, like all of that stuff, that
Mhm.
you were in it. You were in it. And so it doesn't surprise me, to hear you say that happiness and joy were foreigners to you for so long.
No, and you were so right. You captured basically everything. And I met you back in September of 2013, and in 2014 you became this angel to me, and
Mhm.
I was in a place I couldn't be in, and you orchestrated an exit plan for me that worked really, really well for me. So um, I knew enough even then in 2014 what I could accept and what I can't accept. And that was like, I guess I would call that the beginning, that I would be able to speak up for myself and get myself out of a situation. And I'm from Canada, and I knew no one. I was just meeting my campus crew at that time, where they saw my arms and legs and things, and I really did exist other than this little picture way back when. So yeah.
Yeah.
And and you're right. The last crux was part of it. I think it broke me open in a different pattern from when I had lost my son to that institution, etc. For, that was 21 years, and I am now. I use the words that I have since become. I shared this last Tuesday. I'm unthawed and untethered, and I'm not imprisoned anymore in my own mind or in my body or anything. So it has been a big transitional and transformational year for me.
So unthawed, I just want to bring attention to that phrase again. Unthawed and untethered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see it. You know, people can say these things, but it's a whole other thing when you actually see it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Because people say things to me and I have to accept that and then look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I guess it's true because I can see it myself.
yeah. It's
Um,
amazing. It's amazing. And you know, Mary Ellen, I saw it. For people who don't know, you referenced the class, and I
yes.
actually maybe I should talk about this more. But
Self renewal.
self renewal, I created a course,
Yeah.
a 12 session course. Out of several different workshops and trainings that I participated in, and I launched it in the prison back around, I don't know, 2018, and then took it out. You know, I want to see how it worked because I saw transformations in the prison that were just
Yeah.
incredible. But it, you know, it was a very select population that pretty much, not that they didn't have to be there, but there weren't a lot of other options. Not like people out in the world, you know, where you can go to the movies or you can, you can be watching TV, whatever it is that is your thing. To take enough time to spend 12 sessions with a group of people
Yeah.
and delving into your stuff, right?
True.
Is a commitment and not something that I think a lot of people do. So anyway, I had to see, will it work out here like it worked in the prison? And you're like the shiniest example that wow,
Yes. I think I graduated because of the transition it has made for myself. And, you know, I'm responsible for this transformation because, uh, I mean, I really did share and I was nervous and all of a sudden I became, but now when I hear the word vulnerable, I say, where is it? I want to jump in. I
Mhm.
want to jump into it because I am worth that today instead of hiding and thinking that or shriveling up. And trust me, because well, you know about how I feel about shame. I mean, I experienced that for over 6 months until, well, from September 4th in 2014 until August of 2015, did I get free and understand why I couldn't move, how I was still hiding for all those months until I heard Brene Brown and then Reverend Georgia Prescott did a talk in August of 2015, and I was almost all together, but there was still something when I looked in the mirror that was missing, and that was shame. And then I had to take that on. Once I took it on and owned it, I became free.
So it's not that the shame was missing, it was the awareness that the shame was there is what was
Yes, I
missing.
couldn't.
You didn't know how much shame you were carrying and how
Oh
you
my
were living
gosh,
in the muck of it.
years, years,
Yeah,
years, and years.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
I didn't want to be seen,
right,
sure,
right.
because of what I was in and going through. So, yes.
Yeah,
So it now leads me to this. I would never been able to use those two words, but only in the last 2 years have I done that.
yeah. So here's like the trajectory of the course, right? Is like
Yeah.
basically I've figured out, I think it's the hero's journey, so the first
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah.
course is really about the things that are foundational to healthy relationship, the stuff that we get, like, we're all on a hero's journey. We're
Sure.
all on many, many heroes journeys. It's not just one. You can have a hero's journey in a day, but the foundation of where the hero launches from home, right? Hero goes from home, carrying all their gifts and abilities and desires and this and that, and then goes into the world where there are trials and tribulations and supernatural things that happen and mentors, and there's great adventure. And then there's the culmination where the hero like gets it
Yep.
right, and comes into their wholeness and their worth and their everything, and now the job is to come home and share that with others,
That's
right?
it. I'm in service to the world.
Yeah.
I made a commitment last January. With Valerie Kaur, I signed up. I made a vow. I joined the group, and it's like, then you offer this, and I said, okay, well, I'm already here. Go for it, because I was still sort of frozen still back then a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Not deep frozen. I was thawing, but
Right.
I'm unthawed
Yeah.
completely.
Completely. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it is a change. And that's what I really appreciated this topic, because I did some research today on the difference between joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Two altogether, two different things.
Well, everybody's looking, I think we're taught to look for happiness. I shared this last week, it was really kind of mind blowing to me that our country, the United States, has got this affirmation that we say, right? That we are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, the pursuit is the
The
magic
pursuit of
word.
happiness, right? Which goes so well with consumerism, right? Because we're always chasing, we're always going after it. What if the founding fathers had said life, liberty, and joy,
Yeah.
right? Not the pursuit of it, but the experience of it. Like that would have been a whole different
You
affirmation.
would, I think you're right, because happiness, when you say the pursuit, yes, you're always longing because you don't have it. We look for it in other people, married happily forever, right? That's a bunch of baloney to me. However, because happiness is an experience, but it comes from the outside world. When I got married, I thought, oh, I'd be happy forever, you know, and that just didn't work out. And I was never happy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I finally got on the right track of knowing no one is responsible for my happiness but me. And then everybody else, I let everybody else off the hook for this. Then you can just live and learn to be friends and love and be kind. I love loving kindness and respect. They're my favorite go-tos. To how I see, and now I just see everybody standing in front of me as this living divine presence. And I don't ever want to have hate in my body.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the distinction that you make, because we talked about this a little bit last week, but just to reiterate it, that there is a difference between happiness and joy.
Yes.
And happiness being something maybe that's transitory, that comes from outside in, or we're looking for it out there.
Yes.
Whereas joy is something that comes up like from inside. It's intrinsic. I think it's inside of us.
It's an inside job. It's always been present. We just haven't, I was not waking up to it, but it has always been there, and it's in every moment.
Yeah, because it's not modeled.
No.
Most people don't model it for us. Most adults anyway. My best models for joy is my grandchildren.
Exactly. Right? They haven't been corrupted or domesticated.
No. Right. They just, they're so excited to live. They're so excited for new opportunities. They're excited to see the same thing over and over and over again. It's like watching it for the first time, right? How many times we watch the same videos and they laugh, and they just, they're living full out, like all in the moment.
Exactly.
And, and it doesn't mean that life is wonderful all the time. Right? Because they're also feeling whatever is happening. So when they're angry, it. When they're sad, they're not going, oh no, don't look at me, I'm doing the ugly cry. They just do it all. And so that they've been such a wonderful teacher for me, reminder of what joy is, and the fact that we all come into this world that way.
Yeah, we are born. It is intrinsic. It's one of the gifts that come with us, I mean, I guess I can say the joy is when I gave birth to my first son. And I mean, after you get through all the pain of delivery, right. Mm-hmm. Then when you see that child and hold it, and I had lost a couple of pregnancies. I couldn't carry to full term, and this was my first child. And oh my God, of course I was joy-filled. However, that didn't last, because then you get into the domestic whole other scene that isn't kumbaya at all.
Right.
So it was more more like a scrub woman's lifestyle when that after, the first day is great. And then you have your own challenges, but you can love, but that isn't joy. It's all this, what I'm experiencing today is new. And I think it wears well on me, and I'm going to keep it. That's what like I can laugh out loud now. I just have fun.
Yeah.
Which
And you've done your work. So I think joy is something too that is deeper. Not that it's more authentic than happiness, but what is it is.
No, but joy transcends us, transcends everyone. Even those little children are laughing and can watch the same movie, laugh at different pieces of it or the same, and they can memorize it. And then happiness is a reaction. They see it on your face. They see if you're smiling. Like, people are upset because we're wearing masks now and you can't see a smile. Well, there's lots of people that still walk around without a smile. So what's the difference? Why are you blaming I'm wearing a mask that I can't see? Because we're energy, we vibrate, and we get to express that feeling. And of course, if I was sitting in the grief section again, people would just walk by because they don't want to be asked how you are. They don't want to really know the details or anything like that, right? It may be contagious for all I know.
You know what? Emotions are contagious.
They are contagious. You can go down that vortex or that hole in a heartbeat. You can get bad news, and we are so conditioned.
And so, I wanted to make sure we talked some today about the things, because if we're saying that joy is innate and it's intrinsic to who we are, what are the things that get in the way? So, for one thing, we're talking about it now, that idea that emotions are contagious, and there is a lot of anger. There's a lot of negativities. There's a lot of stuck emotion. There's stuck emotion because some people are feeling, I think what happens, and this is one of the things we talk about in the class, right? That we get conditioned, and I'm going to make really, really broad generality.
Yeah.
That it is okay for women to be depressed.
That's right.
To express sadness and grief. It is not okay for women to express rage and anger, right? And then the opposite is true for men. That it's okay for men to be rageful and full of anger, but it's not okay for men to grieve or cry because they get called names and so on. So, again, big generalities, but we can't selectively numb. We can't say, I'm not going to feel my anger and expect to feel anything else.
No, and I've learned, and I practice now, that anger is my friend, and anger shows up for a reason. And it also protects us. I have two definitions of what, like I shared earlier with you, but like on this topic, when I did some research and I thought, wow, this is interesting. I know Aristotle and Plato like you do. We've studied, and it was like, oh, what the heck do they have to say? Well, Aristotle says happiness. This is where consumerism comes in big time, I think. So he's been gone a long time. But happiness consists in achieving, and such as, well, we want health and wealth and knowledge. So we're looking for things, again, outside of us, and we want to bring them in. And even if you achieve them, sometimes even through achieving things, we don't reach that element of happiness because it's fleeting. It comes and it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And Plato said, the highest aim of moral thought and conduct. Now leave it to Plato for that one. And I can hear his voice even saying that. And I thought, yes, because he was trying to instill that into his students about asking the questions, being curious, etc. And so when I look at my own life, well, I didn't have joy. I didn't even know what joy was. I didn't have much of a childhood. I was have had to learn how to reparent myself, make friends with my shadow side. Now doing trauma and some other work, it's like, this is where I can say I'm now emancipated. I am free because I can now turn things differently, almost instantly, and not doing any bypasses. I want to jump in and say, okay, friend. And that's what I've been doing, is making friends with myself. Now, Plato and Aristotle didn't. And back then we are in that culture, that era, but we're no different today. We still think if we achieve things, get on top and be the best of anything. But that left me empty and meaningless.
Yeah. So it's sometimes people have this idea that joy is going to be sometime in the future when I get this, that, and the other.
Exactly.
And I'm going to go straight on that thing, bypassing all this bad feeling, all this yuck. Let me just focus on this goal and not feeling much of anything, if possible, right? Till I get to that goal, when of course I'm going to be happy. And then you get there and realize, oh my God, this wasn't it.
Exactly.
Climbing
what are we
ladder,
holding?
and when you get to the top, that you were on the wrong wall. You were climbing to the wrong place.
Yes. And I watch it in society when you have elections, and people think they'll be happy if their team gets in. And I thought, God, I'm starting to hate politics beyond. And the two sides, like, will never heal if we continue to be upset because you're red or blue or purple. And in my country, whether you're liberal or conservative, it just keeps separating us, and it doesn't bring us together. And when they came knocking on my door, I said, you know what I'd like to see? You're all fired. I said that to the politician that came to my home. And I said, and I'm waiting for the youth to show up in jeans and t-shirts and run the show. Because you guys, all you do in the house is just keep knocking people, making them wrong. And there's a phrase I love this phrase. I just got it yesterday in my reading. And it was one that said, I'd rather be connected than corrected. And boy, do I like that new phrase I found yesterday, because I thought, there's the answer. How about being connected instead of wanting to correct somebody for whatever reason?
Yeah, well, that's, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy?
Yeah. And I don't want to be happy. I want to be joyful. I want to be so full of joy that I can love each and every piece of life I see, and every human I can speak with and offer a kind word or assistance. Absolutely.
So that brings me to another thing about joy, I think. So for one thing, joy comes from feeling everything, from having your ladder, if you're climbing that ladder of success, making sure that it's where you want it to be. Is this lining up with me? Am I in integrity with what's mine to do? Right.
Yeah.
And then I think the next piece is really about having some kind of focus, something that takes you outside of yourself and your own narrow, you're the story, right? The story, because we have all been, you and I, and probably everybody watching this, has been victimized at some point. And there is the story of how this came to be, whatever. And it's so easy to stay in that place. It's so easy. But part of the way to be free, I think, is to step outside of yourself and use that drama, for something better, for some greater good.
Yeah. And I think just what you said, because joy is a practice and a behavior. So, we practice making the power of decision, making choices and things like that. And so here's an example of you're choosing a practice of being joyful, and you then once you keep doing that, you experience, like I've experienced joy now, and I don't want it to ever leave now that I know that it's here and innate in me. But it's deliberate and setting an intention. That's the difference between happiness can just show up, but it's fleeting.
Mhm.
It doesn't stay
Mhm.
because there's things that come to us. You know, you see a baby on the street, all of a sudden I watch people melt, and yet they're brutes out on the road, you know, like,
Yeah.
wow. Now
Right.
that transformation doesn't last because they didn't, well, I know from quantum physics and the mind, you have to spend 15 seconds with everyone to make it meld into us as an
Mhm.
experience.
Hmm.
So if you just look at a child and say, oh yeah, the kid's smiling, well, you didn't have one experience of joy or happiness in that moment, and neither did that child. Actually, they were probably happy you walked away. But it's that.
Yeah. So joy also requires presence.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and
Joy
intention,
is
and intention.
intention, like be here right now in this moment. And there is always, I think gratitude also
Ah,
is a
yes,
gateway to joy, because you
yes,
can be in the midst of and John and I talked about this last week, of very, very sad or very trying times, and there can be something in that moment of
uh,
grace, of gratitude, that can bring joy into that moment.
yes. Because sometimes our days differ. Sometimes you can wake up and you think it's the best day ever,
Mhm.
and then other things happen, and now I know a lot, a lot more than I did yesterday, even. And I just think, yes, but what can I choose today in it? Even if, you know, if I drop an egg, I could make, oh, I can make a scrambled egg out of that. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, when you get hit with you know, the death of a child or an illness of a friend or something like that, it is hard. It is hard to even allow yourself to reach out, and you want to reach out,
Yeah.
but you don't know how to reach out. How is that person going to be? Is it the right time? And I just had this magnificent call with my dear friend Terry Kiernan. It was lovely. I got to see his real face, and it was just, now I felt joy in that. I felt joy in that today. And he's doing very well, and he's on his way to recovery. So it was just a joy for me because I started to work with him a couple of years ago. So I wanted to follow up when I knew that he was ill. And so I just said that even today to him. I'm glad we had got time today to talk. But
Mm.
it's about being mindful about where other people are at too. Just because you want to think you can ring somebody up, no, there's other things going on.
Sure.
And then I ask if it's okay, right?
Mhm.
So it's that. And I think joy, I don't know how you feel about this one, Cindy, about whether, um, you know, joy is infused with a feeling of comfort within. And I'm saying for myself, an interior comfort. And that maybe even, you might even feel a bit of, I certainly feel a lot of peacefulness. I was chanting before we got on, but I just think, I don't know, what was that like for you, for differences of joy and happiness from your, you know, childhood? Because I know you came from New York, and now here you are
Mhm.
in Florida, and you're married and children and grandchildren.
Hmm.
What was that like for you?
I think for me, what I'm learning, what I'm coming to, I think, is joy is that feeling of coming home in its best possible manifestation, because home for some people is was not their happy place, but home in its ideal, like, you know what, I can be my full self, I know that I am loved, there are people here that I love, like that is expansive, and
Yeah,
that feels like joy. And that to me is not attached to a place or
there
to
you go.
circumstance, but that I carry that wherever I go.
Yes.
And I have created that, and I continue to. It's not to say that I'm always there, but that is like that's my North Star now,
Yeah.
that I am home wherever I am. And so I feel that for myself, but also that people feel that when they are in my presence. So they get a sense of what that is to be at home and can have that for themselves. So it creates this ripple effect, and that's part of my goal with this class with self renewal, is that everyone gets to own that for themselves and be that example in their lives for others. That brings me tremendous joy.
Well, I have to agree. And I think that knowing you for as long as I have, I'm always joyful around you. I love to laugh with you and chat. We can have serious ones, or it doesn't matter. It's just a wonderful experience. And when you say that I'm coming home, I dated someone, and I used to, I did therapy for quite a number of years. And when I remember saying this to my therapist, I said, well, it's like going home. Every time I go to my friend's house, it's like, I feel like I'm home. And she said, well, do you want to talk about that? Because the home that I came from was not a place I would call home, or
Right.
where I felt relaxed or cared about even. So um, I hardly ever say that, except I have recently, just because of my experiences in the past year of the work I've been doing. It's okay to be at home because I'm home with myself now.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
able to love myself, because I think one of the problems, or one of the things I think, like why I couldn't access this, I was on pins and needles as a child.
Of course.
I got married at 18. I thought I got out of the house, and only to end up in another mess years later. But um, I didn't have time to express joy. It wasn't a happy time. At Christmas, if I asked for something, it went to one of my other siblings, and whatever they wanted came to me. I was like, really? Like, you are intentionally being cruel. And
Mm.
I just had a hard time. And so, no, there was no joy at all.
Right.
Happiness was fleeting indeed.
Sure.
But I think that, it's an inside job now for me.
Yeah.
I'm responsible now. So I'm taking full action. And I think that's something that we don't learn as children. Good
Mm.
God, you're standing in a line listening. I remember I cried when my firstborn, when he went to kindergarten, and they were lined up and the bell rings. I said, oh my God, I dropped him off. I said, they're going to be conditioned. I've lost them. I've
Yeah.
lost them to society, to this
Mm-hmm.
ringing the bell, standing in line, don't talk, don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrong. We
Yeah.
don't teach this, how to maintain or sustain our joy or
Mm.
happiness.
Mm. Wow, wouldn't that be something? If there was a topic in school, my goodness,
I
imagine a course in school on how to maintain your joy, how to
How
tap
to
it.
have joy with everyone.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
when babies are playing in the sandbox, and I don't care how old or the color of our skin, they share after 2 years old, when, because that's my favorite, 2 to 3 years old, when they learn to say no. I say, yes, they're in getting to be knowing themselves. They're in,
mm,
being individualized. And I found the word no. And then they get, smacked across the head or something, because that's not nice to say no. You must share your toys. Well, I don't
yeah,
want to. So it's no wonder we are confused. Confused. That's what I would have used now today, explaining myself. I'm confused. I don't know if I do this, what happens. I only
right,
know the punishment side.
right. Well, and that's part of what gets in the way of our joy. But I
Yeah.
think I don't know. Let me see. I'm looking for comments here. Oh, Reverend Rodney's with us, and Angel and Z. Someone wrote something here. VOH So I'm not sure what that is. VOH FYI for your information. So if Carol Bates wants to write that out, I'll be glad to give her a shout out.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Is there? We need to wrap. It's just been an awesome conversation, and it's gone so fast. But um, let's see. You brought up something. I don't know. I think I'm going to wait and bring this thing up next week. But how would you like to close? What do you want people to know?
I
That's
want
you
people
have
to
said
know
about
that
joy.
everything is possible and that we are born with this great potential. And if you can't wake up yourself, find somebody to help you, uh, talk with you. And I mean, I didn't get into stories, but I can tell you that um, I've had to learn how to reparent myself even. And now I have done that successfully enough that I know that I can say, I love you and I take care of me now. I don't do any harm. I ask myself questions even. If I'm making a decision, is this going to harm anyone? If the answer is no, okay. And is this going to harm me? And if the answer is no, well, then I give myself the green light to go ahead and participate in something. But I live in great intention and setting an attention to whatever I set my intention to.
Yeah. And so now we can start asking the question, is this going to bring me joy?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Not only is this,
Yeah.
not
Don't forget,
to hurt
forget the
anybody else.
harm, but I
Yeah,
think
because
that,
we were in survival mode before.
yes.
Now we're like, okay, now
Now, is
we're
this going to
on the
bring me
ground.
joy? And
Yeah.
if it doesn't light me up now, then why would I want to do it? I
Yeah.
get excited if I can pray the land outside, or I don't have grass to cut, but I used to love the smell of cut grass, like doing that.
Yeah.
So it's do what you really like to do. And we know what we like. Babies know what they like.
Yeah.
And then we forget what we like because we want to get married and live happily ever after.
Well,
But
yeah.
now it's like we still have to learn how to take care of us interior. So I'm an interior designer. I'm the architect of my life. These are words I use. And I say, that's it. But I thank you for your wisdom today, Cindy, about, yeah, is this bringing me joy? If
Yeah.
not, it's close the door.
Yeah.
What's that phrase? Shut the door. That
Yeah.
kind, that kind.
You know, I had the same awareness yesterday, Marielle, and that's why it was like right there for me, because I am not doing things from obligation anymore.
Good.
I no longer do things from obligation. I choose. I choose. I may still do the same things,
It's okay, but you
but it's
choose.
a choice. It's a choice, and it's not being done from obligation. And that will change my whole
Yeah.
holiday season.
And the whole perspective of how we show up and
Yes.
what we are about to say to anyone. Really.
Yes. And that gives me joy right there too. That gives me
Yeah.
joy. Yeah.
Well, what a lovely conversation with you
Thank
today.
you, my friends. Thank you. I hope this brought some joy to some folks here. I know I'm seeing some of the people on making comments and feeling the joy there. So
Well,
thank you,
good.
my dear.
Well, I thank them for joining us. It's always wonderful to have people on that we can't see at the moment, but
Yes,
it's nice
ma'am.
to know we're never alone and true. I'd love to hear from any of them.
All right, my friend. Oh, do join us on Zoom after this.
Okay, sure.
The number is in the chat.
Yes,
Let's see
I'll
if
see
we've
you
got any
there.
more comments here. Yes, the link is right there in the chat. Thank you so much, Mary Ellen. Love
Oh,
you.
I love you too,
Blessings.
honey. Blessings.
All right, that was fun. Joy everlasting. Yes, thank you, Reverend Rodney. Yes, you are also joy. You could have been on this conversation today. Maybe you'll be on one coming up here soon. Anyway, it is time for us to share our gifts and tithes. There we go. There we go. So, we believe in, as I said, appreciation and generosity, and it's actually spiritual practice, to give. We give what we want to receive. So if money is something that you are not in need of, let's say, but maybe, yeah, sure, then plant some seeds of money, and you can do it with us. We will gladly take it, but do it somewhere. Do it somewhere. So if you want friendship, give friendship. If you want love, give love. Whatever it is, you need to put the ball in motion, and that is what we do. That's what we believe in, giving, tithing. And so as we give, we receive. It's like planting seeds. You put them out there, and what you get for the seed that you plant is multiplied tenfold or more. So be sure that what you're planting, you're always planting something. Be sure that what you're planting is something that you want to get more of. And we're grateful here at the Center for Spiritual Living for any donations that people give. If this teaching or if these conversations move you in some way, support our ministry. Support our ministry, because we've got, like every place else, right? We've got a roof over our heads, that, electricity and all kinds of things that we pay for just like any other business. So we greatly appreciate your financial support. And so here is the affirmation. I invite you to make it your own. Put your hand over your heart. It is the nature of life to give of itself. As it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom, it is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am so very grateful. Now we have a way for you to give, to make it really easy. Going across the screen at the bottom, you can go to our website at cslocala.org/donate. Or if you have a smartphone, you can text message the number that's going across the screen, 352-320-5110. And when you text that number, you put in the amount of money that you'd like to donate to the center. And once it's set up, you hit send and it goes right from your account to ours. So we are just so grateful for anything that you all are willing to share with our center. Let's see if I have any more comments here. Okay, no, it looks like all is good. Joy is Cindy and Mary Ellen together. Oh, thank you, Pat Felton. You're such a sweetheart. Joy is knowing that you're watching and that you're part of our community. Like so many of you. I'm just so grateful for this community. I want to remind you that we will be resuming our in-person gatherings, weekly gatherings. They won't always be Sunday morning, but we will be gathering every week at the Center for Spiritual Living in person. We will be continuing our online gatherings. We will be having a karaoke night. I think it's Christmas karaoke and cookies or something like that. That is next Saturday, I believe, at 7. And then we are having our annual bowl burning ceremony on Sunday, January 2nd at 7 p.m. So it's going to be nighttime, and weather permitting, we'll be sitting around a fire, and we will be releasing what we want to release from the past and doing a little ceremony, burning it in the fire, and creating that space for what we would like to create in 2022. So that is always a fun ceremony. And what else? We have our annual meeting that is coming up at the end of January. I believe it's the 30th. Let me just double check that. It is the last Sunday in January. We're having a continental breakfast. It is the 30th. So that will be starting at 11, and we will be giving essentially a State of the Union of CSL Ocala, and share some of our vision for the future and give you a sense of where we are and how you can step in and help expand this this ministry, and really, be an integral part of creating a world that works, certainly for yourself and your circles of influence. So I think that's it. Let me see if we've got any other comments here. That looks like it's everything. So I think we can go on and close with our prayer. And I invite you to join us in Zoom. We go over people's prayer requests and just kind of get caught up with what's going on in different folks in their lives. And we talk about the topic at hand. So if you want to talk a little bit more about joy, or you want to, I don't know, maybe ask some questions for myself or Reverend Mary Ellen, that would be the time to join us. So we'll close with this prayer for protection that comes from James Dillett Freeman. Oh, and also our prayer requests. If you have prayer requests and you can't join us in person, do send them to us online. And myself and our practitioners will be praying on those. Speaking of our practitioners, one more thing. Donna and Norma are on their transformation vacation with some members from our community, as well as John Stringer and his wife, Kathy. He wrote the beautiful song that we sing before, or the music that you hear at the start of each one of our broadcasts. And we just wish them safe travels, Erin, and everybody. And we miss them. We miss them. So I just hope you are. I pray that you are all having a wonderful holiday season. And here is our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. I just pray and affirm that all is well in your life as we each go into our respective life experience. I just know that you have everything that you need to not only get through your challenges, but to overcome them and come out better and stronger on the other side. Love and blessings to each one of you. Happy holidays.